Well, hey everybody, Jay Whitner here with Kickstarter Coaching and our internet TV show, Crowdfunding Coverage. We do a quick 15-minute recap of what happens each month in the crowdfunding zone. So today we'll be talking about October of 2015. There's a lot of news in October that we'll get into in just a minute. But in overview, we'll also talk about some of the big campaigns that happened in October. There were 17 big campaigns of $650,000 or more. These big campaigns brought in over $18 million. The biggest campaign was the Helix folding bike that raised $1.7 million. So later in our broadcast, we'll talk about 8 of the big campaigns and what helped make them successful. But first, the news. Indiegogo released statistics and sort of the insights that the statistics created early in the month. I don't want to take the time to do all of them. I'll just talk about 3 of them. The first one is campaign length, that roughly 30 days seems to be the sweet spot for how long a campaign should run. Another aspect of what was discovered is that the beginning and the ending of the campaign are where a lot of the money comes in, which if you follow these things you would already know that, but it was a pretty stark information that their data says between the first day of the campaign and the last 3 days, that's roughly 40% of the money that you bring in is in that time period. But I thought the biggest piece was about the importance of video in your crowdfunding campaign. I've read many times that campaigns with a video are slightly over twice as likely to succeed as campaigns that do not have a video, so I urge clients certainly to put in a little bit of effort to have that video. The Indiegogo statistics, however, say that campaigns with a video are 4 times the success of campaigns that do not have one. You raise 4 times the money. So the moral of this story is pretty straightforward. Make that video. An interesting move happened with a big campaign that ran on Kickstarter that concluded in October that we'll talk about later. It's for an interesting set of earbuds. They ran their campaign on Kickstarter. They raised over $1 million. It was a big success. And as soon as the Kickstarter campaign was over, they posted it on Indiegogo as an in-demand campaign. So they didn't lose their momentum. Whatever press was still out there from their Kickstarter campaign, and get more people involved. And already in the few days since their campaign concluded, they've raised a lot of money on Indiegogo using in-demand. So for startups that don't maybe have a website, or if they have a website, they don't have an order processing system to take orders and accept payments and everything. This is maybe a nice bridge to continue doing business after your campaign, but before you have a fully featured website available. More Indiegogo news. Indiegogo for a while has had sort of a sub area of Indiegogo called Indiegogo Life that has been primarily for things like family emergencies, family health emergency, sometimes people that are trying to get married or have other personal issues. And there has been some charity use of the Indiegogo Life. They're rebranding that whole thing as generosity.com. So this is going to be targeted on charities, but they're also going to continue to service this family market, personal issue market. And it's going to be without any fees for the platform. There's still going to be fees for credit card processing, but the platform itself will not require a fee for those campaigns. And what they're doing instead, I guess, is they're sort of suggesting like a tip, a gratuity, that you give something over to their overhead for hosting the thing. So we'll see how that unfolds. When I looked a day or 2 ago, there weren't any campaigns up there yet. Excuse me, so perhaps we'll see something beginning in November. This next news item was really interesting. A company called Crwdfndng did a huge crowdfunding campaign in an untraditional way. They did not run a campaign on Kickstarter. They didn't run a campaign on Indiegogo. They ran a campaign on their own website, doing pre-sales of the new product that they had developed. And they brought in $28 million for a really neat device they've created. It's an automated laser cutter, laser engraving machine that they can make all kinds of neat things with built-in scanners to scan things. And I wish I was in the market for a $4,000 expenditure, but a really neat idea. They had great success, and maybe it'll be a trend that a few people may try to go on their own for crowdfunding campaigns, which happens occasionally, but certainly not at this level. So very, very interesting things, and check out Glowforge if you're in the maker frame of mind. But the big news in crowdfunding happened at the end of the month with the SEC. A few years ago, the Obama administration signed into law the Jobs Act, which had various elements. But one of the things that's taken quite a while to put in place pertains to the Title III equity crowdfunding. What this is about is transitioning the marketplace of people like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and related things, that instead of just getting a reward, that you would have the potential to get equity in the company that makes those things. This has been complex because the idea here is for small investors. So in some ways for the very first time, that small investors who are unaccredited, so you don't have to make a whole lot of money, you don't have to have a high net worth. Basically anybody that's of legal age can invest up to $2,000 into one of these crowdfunding campaigns. So this is groundbreaking stuff, and mostly the rules seem to be what was anticipated. They have a cap of a company can raise $1 million a year doing this, and they did some improvements on what was earlier thought that they might do. They have reduced the requirements to have audited financials, which can cost the company $10,000, $20,000 to have audited financials. So it's a significant cost as part of doing one of these things. So this is coming. This is coming very soon. It sounds as if this will be in place and the rules will be in force by February of next year. It's not very far away at all. So kudos to the SEC for getting this done, and the landscape in 2016 will be quite a bit different for small businesses seeking capital. There'll be a new sheriff in town. And basically right after the SEC announcement, Indiegogo did an announcement that sort of reiterated their interest in equity crowdfunding. And this is a marked difference between the two big players of Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Kickstarter has basically said that they're not interested in this equity crowdfunding thing, but Indiegogo is. So they have all the raw materials to be basically an instant leader in this situation. They have the crowdfunding knowledge, they have the name recognition, they have capital to basically get in front of this whole thing and offer a big name platform, conceivably like in February or March or something. So this is very, very exciting and an opportunity for many people with the business, the dream of America, the startup in the garage. This is for those people. And traditionally they've been some of the most powerful companies in America, have come out of that sort of a background. So on to the campaigns that happened in October. We'll talk about 8 of them. The campaign size, they range from $668,000 to $1.4 million, the ones that we'll talk about. The length of their videos were 2 to 4 minutes long. The campaign durations were 30 to 60 days. The rewards that they had, that they offered, were anywhere from 3 rewards, which is a little on the skimpy side, to 24, which seems a little heavy. Everybody had plenty of updates to keep their backers informed of what was going on. So on to the campaigns. The first one is clockers. This is for a unique watch offering that instead of the traditional watch where the hands move around on a static watch face, in the watch depicted on the right, the different parts of the dial turn around on the watch for like hours, minutes, and seconds, like a slide rule, if any of you remember slide rule. So an interesting campaign. They brought in a sizable amount of money. Some of the unique aspects of their campaign where they use supplemental video. You can have more than one video in your campaign. They had two fundamentally different watch designs, which I think is inherently beneficial. You have more choice for potential purchasers. And scattered throughout their campaign, they had several Back This Project buttons floating around in the campaign, which I'm sort of mixed opinions about. People that have been on Kickstarter know what to do, but there are new people coming every day, so maybe it does make sense to incorporate those into your project. The next one is the TouchJet Wave. This is a really cool project. This is for an accessory that you would purchase to affix to your flat screen television, and you make your flat screen into like a giant touchscreen tablet. So sort of you're converting your giant TV in the living room into like a supersized iPad or something. Neat idea, and a lot cheaper than buying a brand new TV. So some of the things that they did is they referenced a prior campaign. This is a great thing to do if you're in a position where you've done a campaign and you've delivered what you said on time and you have a good reputation. Remind people of that. That's just smart business. They also offer in their campaign a full refund. If you get their product and you don't like it, you send it back, they'll give you all the money. Again, makes people more comfortable pulling out their credit card. In a unique step that I don't recall really seeing very much of before, they're going to ship product to buyers in the order that the orders came in. So this is, I think, is smart, because if someone is looking at the campaign and they notice that, there's a much more of an impetus for them to buy now, as opposed to thinking about maybe buying later. So I thought that was a good idea. Administratively, you have to think about if that's something that's really feasible to handle your shipping in that sequence. But a good idea from a marketing perspective. This next campaign is about Luna and the Moon. It's on Indiegogo, and they are offering lit globes that look like the moon. They're offering them in several different sizes at different price points, and an interesting novelty. They sold $750,000 already of those things. So some of the attributes of their campaign is these GIFs, sort of the miniature videos without sound that you see. They use several of those. They had a lot of stretch goals in their campaign, 7 different stretch goals that they reached as they raised more and more funds throughout the campaign. And as I previously mentioned, they had 7 different sizes, so that's gives a range of deployment options and budget options for everybody, so I think that's smart. The next one that we have is a new and improved brassiere, the 8-in-1 Evolution bra. This campaign brought in a lot of money, and their bra has technical advantages and reversibility and different things to it. But in terms of what you might learn from their campaign, they're offering their product in different colors. This is another sort of option of offering your product in different colors, different sizes, things like that. Give the people the choice, and this is usually good for sales if it doesn't mess up your costing. They offered early bird pricing in their campaign. So people that pledged very early in the campaign, they get a deal. That's fair enough, good business. And also their campaign refers to some of their other products that they have. So this is, even if the products aren't for sale in the campaign, it sort of reminds people they have other things, and and probably creates more business down the road. Now we have the meter. This I thought was a neat one. That they have temperature probes that communicate wirelessly via Bluetooth to your smartphone. So you stick one of these things into your steak, and there's a little app that tells you, okay, what temperature, how many minutes you should cook it, and it actually monitors the temperature inside your steak and lets you know when the steak is ready. So good idea to have this all done wirelessly. Some of the things they did is early bird pricing. Again, discounts for people that get in early. They had lots of stretch goals that they reached. It's something a little bit different. They had a last day special. So to try to make those last day or two of the campaign stronger, put out some special offer to sort of entice people that are on the fence. Again, that seems like good business. Next, we have the Seventh Continent. This is a tabletop game campaign that raised quite a bit of money, over $1 million. Some of the things they did is they had third-party endorsements that were expert in the gaming community that said that what they were doing was really good. This campaign had a big French market, and so there was a button on a campaign that you could click on that if you want to view their Kickstarter page in French. Most of you this probably won't apply to, but if you are having a campaign that is more global in nature, this is an option that you should consider, is supporting other languages in your campaign. And they also had some items in their campaign that are exclusive to Kickstarter backers. Most things that are on Kickstarter are sold later on outside of the Kickstarter world. And the Kickstarter people like getting something that nobody else can get. So this is the items that are exclusive to the Kickstarter community. So that's an interesting strategy as well. And we have the biggest campaign of the month. This was the Saunders electric bike. This is a bike that you can ride without pedaling using electrical power, or you can have like pedal assist. You can go at pretty high speeds, 20 miles an hour, with long ranges, 50-mile range. And it's quite affordable. So that was sort of the theme of their campaign. They had buttons in their page about ordering after the campaign is over. This is something that you should remember, that people are going to come to your campaign page after the campaign is over. You need to figure out how you're going to monetize those visits to create a path for your visitor to buy your product. They did their early bird a little differently than most people do. In general, what you see is a number of items. The first 25 items are at a discount or something. They did their early bird for the first 10 days of their campaign. That's how they did it. And another interesting attribute that they had for their campaign is that they would take deposits on their bike. That you could give them deposit money to lock in the crowdfunding price that's being offered during this time, that for your deposit you could get that price at a later time. This is a little bit administratively complicated, but you get sort of your foot in the door with a lot of potential buyers. They've given at least a deposit that hopefully they'll carry through on. And the final campaign of the month is Pugs. This is for an earbud campaign with an interesting design that has less wires flying all around, and people were really liking it and had a funny video of their campaign. They had several of the gifts, the mini videos. They had multiple levels of the early bird pricing benefiting early buyers. And they had multi-unit packs up to 40 units. And this is something that would not have been permitted in Kickstarter long ago, but they have relaxed their stance on bulk purchasing. So that was the Pugs earbuds. That's it for this month. Hope you enjoyed our show. Check back with us a month from now, and we'll be talking about what happened in November. Talk to you then.